With an exciting round of pole qualifying behind us, we now look forward to One-Up Superstar Series Daytona 500 Duel Racing. We bring you two 30-lap feature events that feature 27 and 26 cars respectively. They're all trying to make the big show next week, the Daytona 500. It's going to be an absolute thrill ride, and for some, this is the make-or-break race that defines their entire speed weeks. And alongside me in the booth for tonight's action is James Ellison once again. We've got a lot of different agendas on the line today. For drivers like Eric Monaco and Justin Hutchinson, they secured the front row for the 500. They just want to keep a clean car throughout the race. Then you have the guys who are locked into the race, who are just trying to get as good a starting spot as they can. And then you got those drivers who need to race their way in. Guys like big names, Duke Ansack among that group, Brandon Beal in duel number 1. There's a lot of big names that are on the outside looking in, and for them, this is make or break time.
Yeah, this is certainly big for them. I mean, you mentioned Duke Ansack. One wouldn't have thought that this would be a position he'd be in going into this season, but here he is. I believe he's got the opportunity. Then you got the others in here that really just want their chance to race. You got so many different opportunities. See several rookie notes here, so that's going to be big for them if they can make the show.
Absolutely. This is going to be an interesting 30 laps because that's both a lot of time to get to the front if you're at the back and also not a lot of time to stay there if you get there. So a lot has to be focused on track position and getting as much of it as possible for the 30 laps of this race. So we can now look at the starting lineup for duel number 1. As I mentioned, Eric Monaco, after winning the Daytona 500 pole last weekend, he lines up on pole for duel number 1. His goal is to just keep a clean car. If he can finish this race under his own power, he'll start on pole for the Daytona 500 no matter what. Got Dylan Young, a bit of a surprise in qualifying alongside him on row 1. And then some big names, J.Q. Halleck, Mark Davey, and Ben McDonnell rounding out the top 5. And then a bit of a surprise in Daniel Voiles starting in 6th spot. Both the Team Dayspring cars now locked into the 500, with David Wells getting in on his speed last week. And right behind him, you got A.J. Jones. You got another one. That's another one of those Team Duke cars that has to make the 500 on through the duels if he's going to have any hope of racing on next Sunday. All of these drivers are looking for one thing and one thing only, and that's to make the Daytona 500.
Yeah, this is going to be exactly what we've already been talking about it, and I know these drivers have been talking about it as well. Their goal, especially all those who have to make it in, is to be ahead of all the others that they need to beat, and that's a pretty tall order considering how many are in the field that are not locked in.
100%. And remember, you have to be in the one of the first 3 drivers that are not in the top 30 in owners points. You got to be one of the top 3 of those to get across the finish line. And if you do that, you're going to race up next Sunday in the Daytona 500. So with that being said, 27 cars are lined up on the grid for duel number 1, and we're ready to bring you 30 laps of racing action from the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. This is the One-Up Superstar Series Daytona 500 duel number 1, and it's coming live next. Getting all set for duel number 1, Eric Monaco on the inside, Dylan Young on the outside, a pair of rookies lead us to the green flag in duel number 1. The green flag is out, and we're underway for 30 laps. Monaco gets the lead from the start, but Dylan Young's got a tighter knit group on that outside line. We'll see if he tucks in. Actually, it's Eric Monaco that moves up to the top of the racetrack to pick up Dylan Young. The 2 rookies working together as Monaco tries to fend off both lanes at once as the field gets up to full speed.
Yeah, that is a smart move, but I wouldn't put it past Halleck to try something, because I can guarantee this is going to be a very interesting race to watch, especially that battle to see who makes it.
And right now, that battle's in the midfield as Halleck makes a move for the lead on the inside. They're already 3 wide in some places. Through 3 and 4, J.Q. Halleck with a push from Ben McDonnell takes the lead of duel number 1. Coming off of turn 4 for the first time in this race, it is Halleck and Monaco side by side for the lead, but not for much longer. J.Q. Halleck going to lead the first lap at duel number 1, and they're almost 4 wide in the back.
This is going to get dicey already. Like I said, it's going to be interesting, and they've already tried to make it interesting. You see 3 wide right now, and you mentioned 4 wide for a bit. Looks like they've settled that down. And Halleck's definitely showing the way early on.
Yeah, Halleck's had a fast car throughout all of Speed Weeks. Remember, Halleck qualified 5th in single car qualifying for the Daytona 500. That car is fast by itself and in the pack. We expect big things from this 4 team in 2023, but the big goal right now is to start 3rd in the Daytona 500. That is what awaits JQ Halleck if they can win this race and do that. But right now, there's 26 other drivers nipping at Halleck's heels, waiting for the opportunity to strike, and it could come any moment now as Halleck gets a big lead out front.
And you don't want to get too far lead, as that could be just what McDonald there wants to see. And he's peaking, but not able to do much with it, as he's got Brock peeking to the inside of him too.
And then look at that 3rd car in the inside lane, that blue car, David Wells in the 64. Another rookie in Superstar competition this year. He's locked into the Daytona 500 on his qualifying speed, but he'd love to race his way in, get a much higher starting spot, and he's doing a very good job pushing William Brock towards the front of the field. As his teammate Voiles drops back a little bit, David Wells doing a very nice job in his first Superstar race.
And that is really impressive, even though it's only the completion of lap 3. He's doing a great job right there, doing what he needs to do, sticking right there with Brock. Though it looks like he's kind of slipping up to the middle lane, but he's gone back down. He's doing a really good job.
Yeah, now we're focused on this 64 of Wells. This was the second Team Dayspring car that was split last year by Daniel Voiles and a bunch of other drivers in the second half of the season, most notably Blaine Saylor, who drove this car in recent times at the end of 2022. But now this is David Wells' full-time ride in 2023, making a run at Rookie of the Year. And up at the front, we've got William Brock trying to get the lead all by himself from the leading 4 car of JQ Halleck, who's led every lap so far.
Yeah, these two looking like they're going to try to pull away, but I don't think Wells is going to let that happen. He's hungry. He wants every spot he can get, and right now, he's sitting pretty.
As Brock makes a move for the lead on the inside of Halleck, remember, every position you gain in this race moves you up a row for the Daytona 500 next Sunday. This is going to be a big deal for these guys, trying to move up as many spots as they can, especially those starting out back. They'd love to make a move. As you take a look, Christian Vargas is making a move into the top 10, the 2-time defending champion, right behind the 77 of Sam Donotto, and look who's behind the 54. It's Duke Ansack, who has to race his way into the Daytona 500. So far, he's in one of the transfer spots.
And we mentioned it before in the pre-race. Duke needs, like you said, Duke needs this. He's got it right now, and he wants to keep it.
And he's getting a push from another driver who's got to race their way in, Echo Evans-Ross in the 39. An outstanding rookie season from her last year. Went almost the entire season without a DNF. A very impressive feat. She is back with Motor Dash Racing this season, looking to improve upon a 32nd place finish in the points. Hoping to do that this year, and a great run in the duels would be a great way to get things started as we come off turn 4 to complete lap number 6.
Yeah, definitely a big improvement is what she'd like to see, as right now all she's worried about is making the field. She can do that, then she can really get settled in and focus on the start of her season as Brock goes for the lead.
I believe she's locked into the field on points from last year. She was 32nd in owners' points in 2022, so she's got a good points position if she needs to fall back on it, but that's the least of her concerns right now. She wants to race her way in the right way. As right now, the top 3 transfer spots are held by David Wells, Duke Ansack, and Echo Evans-Ross. But Brandon Beal is right behind the 39. He wants to make the Daytona 500. Remember, his only win in the Superstar Series came on a super speedway. That was at Brooklands all the way back in 2020.
Yeah, that's a long time, and I'm sure he'd like to have a shot to change that. As, boy, they're really tight-knit here. 3 wide, many rows deep, and it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out as the race continues on. And look who's up to the front now.
It's the 39 of Evans Ross. This could be a big night for her. She can race her way into the 500, not need to worry about points. And she's got Brandon Beal and Nate Champion in the 69. He also has to race his way into the 500. He's pushing the 37 on that inside line. And honestly, aside from Christian Vargas, everyone in the inside line has to race their way into the Daytona 500. There's not enough room for all of them. Something's got to give in the next 22 laps.
You mentioned Vargas. That's who I was pointing out, but it is a good point to bring up Evans Ross there. Got a strong run going, following the champion, and that's exactly what she needs. Although she looks like she's decided she's not going to wait behind him anymore.
What a strong run for this 39 group. Right now, the top 3 transfer spots are Evans Ross, Brandon Beal, and Nate Champion. This would knock Duke Anzac out of the 500. Duke Anzac, with a run of 100 consecutive Superstar starts, he's made every single race in the series history. He's in jeopardy of missing out this time, though. He's got to hustle that middle lane forward if he's going to hope to make the 500.
He does, and honestly, the middle lane's looking pretty strong, stronger than the outside lane, and that inside lane usually gets the momentum, especially in the corners.
But right now, William Brock's got a comfortable lead out in front. He's got about 2/10 over the rest of the pack, which is 3 wide for the entire rest of the field. But William Brock doing a decent job holding on to the lead here. This is his first Super Speedway race back. Remember, he raced the shootout last week. This is his first official race back since he suffered injuries at Las Vegas last season that caused him to miss the final 8 races of 2022. Brock's doing a phenomenal job keeping his foot to the floor here because the rest of the pack's quite a ways behind.
Yeah, that would be a concern if they were all single file. He'd get freight trained, but they're not single file. There ain't no way they're going to be willing to just ride around for most of this race. You see right there. Evans Ross and Vargas side by side for the second position.
And Brandon Beal's back there too, just lurking, trying to find a way underneath the 39. If he can get into that lead transfer spot, he'll be pretty good. Beal is pretty good on points as well. I don't think he wants to resort to that, though, in the 37. He wants to race his way into the 500, but if he can fall back on points, that'll be a good note to end his night on. But it's still early in this race. We still have 20 laps to go, and Beal now side by side with Jake McMillan for second, and look who's getting the run down the inside. It's Duke Anzac's teammate, that black and gold 31 car, rookie AJ Jones, trying to make the 500 as well.
Yeah, he's got a strong run, and meanwhile, Evans Ross continuing to block to protect her spot as the lead locked in a lead transfer car, and Brock's just doing everything he can. He's actually sitting pretty right now, and what a comeback this would be for him to be able to get a win in this race.
It would certainly be something special to behold, that's for sure. But William Brock still has 19 laps to go to try and hold on. And there's plenty of racing that can be done between now and then. As Champion gets pushed to the middle groove, here comes AJ Jones with a push from Jesse Johns in the 44. He's got to race his way into the 500 as well. The entire inside line, with the exception of Anderson Reed right at the back of it, they all have to race their way in. So this is going to be a very contentious battle for the transfer spots. But currently, the people occupying them, Evans Ross, Brandon Beal, and AJ Jones in the 31.
Yeah, Jones is looking pretty good, although he's getting shuffled to the middle. That could spell trouble for him.
But he has
now.
his teammate behind him now, Duke Anzac, in the 83. So the two teammates might be able to work together a little bit as Evans Ross goes for the lead all by herself.
I was just about ready to bring that up when you mentioned about the teammates there, that she's hungry. She wants more than what she had last year. Sure, going most of the season without a DNF is something to be proud of, but at the same time, a win, even a dual win, would certainly be even better.
Absolutely. She only had one top 10 all of last season, and that was in the Wreckfest that was Montreal. And Ross came within 2/100ths of a second of leading that lap. Echo Evans Ross doing a phenomenal job in this 39. She started deep in the field, too. So a great job working from the back to the front. Now she's got AJ Jones pushing her, and we know what an aggressive racer AJ Jones is. We saw this in the Nitro National Series last year. He's got to keep his temperament in check, though, if he wants to make the big show.
That is exactly right, and Don't look now. I see that sponsorless 44 of Jesse Johns in the picture now. He could make it into this race, or at least it looks sponsorless from here. I can't tell.
The Phoenician Medical Chevrolet of Jesse Johns. It's a bit faint in the lighting, but Jesse Johns trying to make the Daytona 500 for the first time, and here comes KJ Hayes, his teammate, on the inside of him. Hayes are one of the two veterans of the Tempian Motorsports team. They're trying to make the 500. All four of their cars are not locked in, and three of them are in this duel right now.
How awkward would it be to be in the race at the expense of your teammate? That'd be tough, but it's the nature of the beast as Evans Ross continues to go for the lead here.
Looks like Brock's going to get the advantage going into turn 3, but Evans Ross has the bottom lane, which should be preferred through the corners at least. But we've seen the outside lane's able to hold its own much better than we've seen in the recent years on the super speedways. So any lane is viable here. It's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time as we hit the halfway lap this time.
Yeah, halfway, Brock's been leading the majority of it, but he's definitely got to keep an eye on that 39. He's got to put, and I couldn't help but notice that these two right now fighting side by side have the same numbers just flipped around. It's funny watching this, actually.
Let's hope they don't end up flipped over themselves. There's a lot of action still to come in the final half of duel number 1 as Echo Evans Ross fights for the lead with William Brock. AJ Jones, Brandon Beal, they're in the two remaining transfer spots. And look at Ryan Vasquez in the 89 behind AJ Jones. This is what was the 68 car last year. It was an orange and white Ford back then. Now it's a blue and black machine. And Vasquez trying to make a run at the Daytona 500. He's closing in on a transfer spot.
Yeah, we hadn't talked about him much, and then just all of a sudden, here he is. He's going for it. Now he's looking inside the 31. I'd say Evans Ross, look out. He's coming for her.
And behind the 89 is the 99 of Brantley Gage, the other Team Shocker automotive car. We saw Nate Champion earlier in the race make a run at it. Now it's his teammate's turn to try and make a run. And Andrew Langley in the third Tempian car, the 42, trying to make something happen. And even behind him is the Serbian rookie, Brehan Stojanovic, in the 98 for Phantom Fury Motorsports. This is their first venture into the Superstar Series. They need to race their way in as well.
Yeah, you see right there, Evans Ross ended up moving to the high side. Now has some competition for that top spot in the transfer, but still holding their own there on the high side.
But Ryan Vasquez making a run at it. He's got a push from Langley in the 42. This is going to be a big run down the back straightaway. Brock continues to hold the lead for a very long time in this race. We haven't seen this in a long time on the super speedways. One driver leading a big pack like this for so much. But we've got Langley now making a move to the bottom. He's trying to take the last transfer spot from Brantley Gage. And Stojanovic in the 98 trying to make something happen in a low groove. He's got to find his way past the 42. That's his ticket to the 500.
Meanwhile, up at the front, Echo Evans Ross just powered back into the head transfer spot there, which, stout 39 car, and I can't say I blame her for fighting hard.
She's definitely earned her keep in this series from this race alone. We've got 12 laps to go in duel number 1. And here comes Andrew Langley to the inside, but Vasquez blocks him. Langley continues to weave his way down the straight, trying to make his way up forward. And he's now to the outside of Ryan Vasquez. That opens the door for Stojanovic in the inside lane with a push from Anderson Reed. This is quite the battle we've got for the transfer spots, and they're still racing in the top 5.
Yeah, this is great. This is one way to keep focus on the battle while not giving up the fact that, or forgetting about the fact that Brock is still hanging on strong. But man, this is an exciting. I said so earlier. This was going to be an interesting race, and it has been so far.
We could face a very real possibility that a driver finishes in the top 5 of their duel, but still goes home from the Daytona 500. That is incredible, the rate they're going. But Evans Ross holds down the transfer spot ahead of Langley and Vasquez now. Mark Davies making an appearance at the front for the first time all night, with Ben McDonald pushing him. And don't look now, but on that inside line, as Ross makes a move for the lead, coming through 3 and 4. Langley's going to give her a push, but he's going to make it 3 wide for a moment, and at the stripe, Brock continues to lead.
Yeah, Langley thought better of it there, and that was probably the smart thing because I can understand the 3 wide doesn't always work out well going into the tri-oval here. And right now, Echo Evans Ross has finally unseated Brock as race leader.
And she's going to try and keep it that way for a while. As I was before the battle for the lead ensued, I was going to mention, look who's made their way up to the front again. It's Dylan Young, JQ Halleck, Eric Monaco, the guys who started up front, as we're 4 wide behind the leaders.
Oh, no. This could end up ugly if they don't sort it out real quick here. And, well, they're
4 wide through the tri-oval at Daytona. Can you believe it?
How did they not wreck there? That just goes to show the skill these drivers have, and it looks like they finally slowed up, but it looked like there was some leaning for a little bit on each other in the middle.
Yeah, that was between Dylan Young and Autumn Koger in the 19. We hadn't mentioned her name much tonight. She is one of the rookies locked into the 500 on points. Her and Dylan Young, we believe, are the front runners for Rookie of the Year this year, and they're banging doors once again as they go off into turn 3. That lets Halleck to the inside. Oh, they almost touch off a big wreck, but they keep it together. But it allows JQ Halleck to the bottom. They're 4 wide once again off of turn 4.
All right, now settle down, folks. It isn't that serious.
It's serious enough for them to warrant battling hard, because this is for a spot in the Daytona 500. Dylan Young knows he's going to race based on his qualifying speed, but he'd love to race his way in just to start a little higher. As William Brock goes back to the lead with a push from Sam Donato in the 77. Got the Frontier Airlines. Got the Frontier Airlines Toyota making a move for the lead with a push from Dylan Young. Brock's lead could be in danger as Donato makes a run at it.
Yeah, meanwhile, it's looking pretty rough there for Echo Evans Ross. Went for the lead, now having to be in the middle of that fight again for a transfer spot, but still strong up there as Donato going for the lead here.
Absolutely. Donato trying to get the lead, but it will be thwarted by William Brock. 7 laps to go. Brock has dominated this race so far, but it's not his yet. He's still got to fend off this hungry pack. And here comes Halleck in the 4. This car was strong in the early stages. Let's see if they picked up on learning from what was happening in the draft to see what this 4 car can do fighting that dominant 93.
Yep, and right now it's looking like Halleck trying to make it 3 wide for the lead, and okay, thinks a bit better of it, and it's 3 wide for second now. Brock, man, that 93 is very strong.
This could be a contender to win the Daytona 500 next Sunday. William Brock doing an excellent job holding off the field. And we're coming to 6 laps to go. He's got a very nice lead ahead of the battling trio of Halleck, Donato, and Young. But this is not over yet. We still have 6 laps to go in duel number 1, and we still don't know who's going to make the 500.
Yeah, and the fact that they're all still right up here battling in the top 10, top 15, that's big as Halleck continues to fight Donato for second. But the transfer spot, I'm really keeping an eye on that because we got 3 drivers who are going to make it and a few who are still going to head home.
And right now, those 3 transfer spots are Dylan Young, David Wells, and Andrew Langley. But KJ Hayes making a move on his teammate, Langley, to try and get that final transfer spot away. It's become to 5 laps to go in duel number 1.
Yeah, this is getting intense now as we're getting down into the final laps. I can't even put the words together. I'm so excited to see how this plays out.
And the only thing separating this from a Genesis Engineering 1-2 finish is that 4 car of JQ Halleck. Remember, Brock and Monaco are teammates this year. Monaco was actually deputized to substitute for William Brock at North Wilkesboro last year. Now they get to race alongside each other. And wouldn't Monaco love to get that 4 car out of the way and bring home a Genesis 1-2? But we still have a long way to go, coming to 4 laps to go from Daytona.
Yeah, that'd be nice to see a Genesis 1-2, but honestly, Monaco's looking at that windshield at that pesky number 4, thinking, what do I got to do to get Halleck out of the way?
But what he's also thinking is, I need to keep this car in one piece for the 500. He does not want to fight for this win right now. He wants to lay back, hang in there, finish this race in one piece. He'll start on pole regardless. But as soon as I say this, I make myself eat my own words, because here comes Eric Monaco trying to push Halleck towards the lead as we come to 3 laps to go.
Yeah, Brock's got to be thinking, what are you doing? I thought you were trying to protect your car.
Eric Monaco trying to prove he's got a race winner in that 86, trying to win and replicate what Mark Davey did last year and win the Daytona 500 in just his second career start. We now have 3 laps remaining in duel number 1. Halleck with the lead now ahead of William Brock and Eric Monaco. The Genesis car is trying to gang up on the 4. We'll see if it works.
Yeah, I can't help but notice that the go or go home transfer battle has shifted back a little bit in the field here as some of the front runners who are locked in have come back to the front.
Right now, the lead transfer spot goes to that 64 on the inside. David Wells, KJ Hayes is in a transfer spot at the moment, and the final transfer spot, we're going back to it now, is going to be a big battle between Duke Ansack, Dylan Young, and Brejhan Stojanovic. They're going to battle it out for the final 5 miles of this, for fighting tooth and nail for every inch. Ansack's record streak of series starts is on the line.
Yeah, and he's just trying to figure out what to do right now, right there behind Christian Vargas. He's got to be hoping that Vargas can lead him clear of these guys, but at the same time, you gotta wonder, will we see an Anzac-less race?
We've never seen that in the 1-Up Superstar Series before. This could be a big moment. If Dylan Young finishes ahead of Duke Ansack, he's out of the 500. Duke Ansack has got to be in the top 3 because he has no points to fall back on, and he wasn't fast enough last week. He has no other way but to race his way in. So we're coming to the white flag this time.
White flag, Halleck in the lead. And I know Monaco would love nothing more than to be able to finish where he started, but man, JQ Halleck has got a strong piece.
Going into the high banks of 1 and 2 for the final time. Monaco is going to take a look underneath.
There he goes.
But he's got no help back there. The nearest help is David Wells, and he's a couple car lengths back. Down the back straightaway for the final time. It is Halleck and Monaco side by side. David Wells going to try and give his fellow rookie a helping hand. Then he moves back up. Then he moves back down. This is an epic conclusion to the first of 2 duels. We come through 3 and 4 for the final time.
Yeah, you see it right there. Wells tried to make it 3 wide, but Monaco knew that was coming and blocked it.
It's going to be a drag race.
And a rookie.
Going to be a drag race coming back to the start-finish line. And at the stripe, JQ Halleck, by the slimmest of margins, takes duel number 1 over Eric Monaco. So they will start 1 and 3 in the Daytona 500. David Wells races his way into the 500. How about KJ Hayes in the 46, the Tempian Motorsports Group? They've raced their way into the 500. And by the slimmest of margins, it is Duke Ansack who comes through to make his 101st career start in the Daytona 500 on Sunday. He is in, and looking back through the field, I think AJ Jones in that 31, he'll make the race on his qualifying speed. Echo Evans Ross will make the race on her points. Andrew Langley will make the race on his points. And Brandon Beal, he'll make the race on his points. So all of the points position paying spots, they've been given out. And that means for drivers like Brejhan Stojanovic, Ryan Soper in the 84, Nate Champion, Brantley Gage, Ryan Vasquez, Jesse Johns, they're all going to go home empty-handed from this Daytona 500. But man, what a spectacle we've put on. Duke Ansack did everything he needed to do in this race. By the slimmest of margins, he will be in the Daytona 500 on next Sunday.
And that is big. Because like you said, we were concerned. I was a little unsure for a little while there as he fell back if he was going to make it, but he did. And big congratulations to him. And also, I got a feel for those who didn't make it. Champion, Stojanovic, so many of them were up there in the front for a while, and they get to go home.
Absolutely. It's going to be tough to witness, but I'm sure they'll be back ready for the next race at Auto Club Speedway in a few weeks' time, ready to go at it again. So, that's it for duel number 1. We'll see you again soon for the second duel race coming up in a short while. But JQ Halleck wins the duel. They will start third in the 500 behind Eric Monaco, who keeps the car in one piece. He'll start on pole as we set most of the field for the Daytona 500. We'll see you again soon for duel number 2, which is coming up in just a short while.